Yeah. What we're going to do is our good friend Michael Schatz, who is celebrating the anniversary of his bar mitzvah today. Michael, of course, has been our Baal Shacharit for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur for the last several years. Michael will continue the service. And somebody said to me, hopefully it was in jest, they said, because there was an interruption, do we have to go back to the beginning of the service? And the answer is absolutely yes. So, so Michael, I thank you. Do we have the mic? Do you want to do it down here, or would you prefer? Or would you wear a microphone today? Okay, here. All right. So why don't we here? You don't need your mask. And we'll start from the thing. What happened to it?
He might have put it in his pocket.
He took it?
He might have.
No.
It is.
Okay, you can use that microphone. But we're going to have to find out, Shelley, where the second microphone is. Okay? If you'll take your Sidurim once again, we'll continue with the Heicha Kadisha of the,
I didn't say that page.
Okay. We'll continue first on page 156. Page 156, where we left off. Page 156. Okay. You don't need a mask now up here. Go ahead. Michael, here. Here it is. Michael, here. It's already on. Okay. So you know how to work it off and on. Okay.
I'm not going to turn it off.
Huh?
I won't turn it off.
Good.
L'dur v'dur kayam u'shmo kayam v'chiso nachon machluto v'manato lai kayamet v'rachim. Emet shatahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Malkeinu melech Avotenu go'aleinu go'al Avotenu Yotzrinu tzur Yeshuatenu Podenu matzilenu me'elam shemecha Ein Elohim zulatecha Ezra Avotenu atahu me'elam Avinu Shemchu V'ador B'mo Tehillah le'el baruch u'mevarach Moshe v'nei Yisrael l'chanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehillah tosef ele Shira chadasha shibechu geulim l'shimcha sevatayam yachad kulam hodu vehim lichu v'yamru Adonai imloch le'olam v'ahed Zur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael ufteichinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael Go Aleinu Adonai Tzavot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Gal Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Umevi Goel Livnei V'Nehem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayim Eitim Atah Rav LaHoshia Mashiva Ruach Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed Mechayim Eitim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayim Nato li shene afar michamocha bal gevurot umido melech memit mechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'neman ata lehachayot metim baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hametim.
Amen. Nekadesh Shkabolam, Kishisham Disham Ram, Kakatubiana Vechres Viahama.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam kishem shemakdishim oto bishmei marom kakatu vayad neviecha vekara ze el ze v'yamar kadosh 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 Adonai tzvaot meloch haaretz kivodo.
Rashka Doladir Chazak Mashmiko, Amborach Yomer.
Az bekol rash gadol adir v'chazak mashmim kol minasim leumat serafim leumatam baruch yomeru baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo.
Mimkom Chamakenu Tofi v'Tim Lochol Eni Kimachtim Anachnu Loch.
Mimkomecha malkeinu tofia v'tim loch aleinu ki mechakim anachnu lach matai timloch betzion bekarov biyameinu leolam va'et yishkon titgadal v'titkadash betoch Yerushalayim ircha ledor vador ulenetzach netzachim v'yeneinu tirena Malchutecha kadavar hamor b'shirei uzecha al yedei David Mashiach tzikecha
Yimloch Adonai leolam Elohai Yichtzion L'dor Hallelujah.
Yimloch Adonai leolam Elohai Yichtzion L'dor vador Hallelujah L'dor vador nagig lecha L'netzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamos leolam va'ed Ki hamelech gadol v'kadosh ata baruch ata Adonai ha'el
Remain
hakadosh.
standing if possible. Turning please page 162, either in Hebrew or in English. Yismach Moshe. We continue, please. Page 167, the Kaddish Shalem.
Yikadal v'yikadash merapa.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yamechon chayidachol Beit Yisrael v'galav izman kariv imramei.
Amen. Heishmei
Rabba
Rabba
mevorach
Le'olam
le'olam
Maya.
Yiparach v'yishtabach v'parim amit naseh v'tadar v'talav v'talal shemeti gucha brifu
Berichu.
ve'elam minko v'chata v'shirata tushbachata v'nachamata damiram v'yama v'imru
Amen.
Tika baltzod hon v'oton dechol Yisrael kadam avon v'ishmaya v'imru
Amen.
Yenishlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru
Emeru. Amen. Page 168, we rise once again, if possible, for our Torah service. Ein kamocha.
Ein kamocha vo Elohim Adonai v'ein kemaasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha bechol dor vador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom Avarachamim Eitiva v'irtzonecha et Zion Tivnechomot Yerushalayim Tivnechomot Yerushalayim Kivecha levad batachnu Melech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim Vayehi b'imso Aharon vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai v'yafutzu oivecha v'yanusu misanecha mipanecha ki mitzion teitzei Torah ki mitzion teitzei Torah Udavar Adonai miYerushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato.
This Shabbat morning, when we read from the Torah, the portion of Lech Lecha, of Abraham's journey to the Promised Land, we pray a prayer for one's personal journey. Open our eyes, God. Help us to perceive what we've ignored, to uncover what we have forsaken, to find what we've been searching for. Remind us that we don't have to journey far to discover something new, for miracles surround us, blessings and holiness abound, and you are near.
Kadisha Yakira Anaimar Tushbechan Beyana Rachetz Velishmei Kadisha Yakira Anaimar Tushbechan Yehi Rava Kadamach Ditiv Tachli Ba'i Bioraita Vitashli Mishalin Deliba'i Veliba Decholamach Yisrael Letavu Lechayin Velishlam Amen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gad Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai Itin Romema Shemo Yachdav. Adonai Hagedula Hagevura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahor Ki Chol B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Ki Chol B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha V'Hamid Naseh Lechol Lerosh Romemu Adonai Eloheinu V'Hishtachavu Adam Raglav Kadoshu Romemu Adonai Eloheinu V'Hishtachavu V'Har Kadsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
If you'll please be seated. We proceed now to the Torah reading for the Shabbat morning. The portion is known as Lech Lecha, and it is found in the Hertz Chumash, the Blue Bible volume, on page 45, and the Eitz Chaim on page 69. We are back pretty much so to a regular service, including what we were doing before COVID struck. We'll be doing a full Kriya, a full Torah reading, which is our custom. And I just want to acknowledge the reading is going to be done first by Dr. Michael Schatz. And Michael is celebrating this Shabbat, the anniversary of his bar mitzvah, and he'll be reading 3 aliyot for us and chanting the Haftarah really as well. And of course, we welcome really Baruch Haba to no longer an Oreach, no longer a guest. And this is David Kaplan. David is with his grandma, Joan. And David really, I think all of us are familiar with his story. Family lives really in Israel, originally from Elkins Park. They live in Tzfat. And David has come here. He goes to school at Temple University. Lives right across the street from us. And really, it's wonderful to have him to be part really of our synagogue community and reading Torah for us really as well. Just very, very briefly, the highlights of this morning's Torah reading. It's a story of wanderings. In fact, I think I once shared with you one of the best Jewish history books I have ever read in my entire life. It started out as a coffee table book. I think some of you know him as a friend at one time, a blessed memory. Remember Chaim Potok? Chaim Potok, of course, for some of us, he was our counselor at Camp Ramah. He lived really in the western suburbs. He started out as a scholar in residence at Har Zion, when Har Zion was in Winfield. He got his PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. And of course, he wrote really his first book, which later became a movie, which was The Chosen. He wrote The Promise. My name is Asher Lev. He became a playwright. He also became a pretty good artist as well, very creative man. But he wrote a Jewish history book, and it started out as a coffee table book. You know what a coffee table book is? It costs a ton of money. You put it on a coffee table, and you never read it. And the book was called Wanderings. And I read that book. In fact, not only did I read it once, I read it many times, and I'm so glad it became a paperback. Because when I was teaching actively people who were becoming part of the Jewish community, that was one of the books that I had really as on the syllabus in terms of Jewish history. And if you're looking to read a Jewish history book, it is a great, great Jewish history book. And the story begins, therefore, with Abram. It's not Avraham yet. It's Avram, and his wife Sarai. They're living, if you go back to your 10th grade ancient history class, remember that? 10th grade ancient history. And what it was, it takes place in the cradle of civilization, which is where? Mesopotamia, which is what today? It is Iraq. And a God appears to him and says, you will leave this place, and I will show you a better place. And God creates this promise with Abram and with the generations afterwards, which are us, and they take a journey and they go to the promised land. It continues also with the story of Abram and Lot, his nephew. Somehow, just like a lot of families, they don't get along. And there's a period of separation, takes a resolution of the conflict. Also, what we have this morning is the birth of Abraham's son by the name of Ishmael. And we're going to talk more about that next week. And then it really ends this morning with the institution of a bris. Abraham really has a bris, and his son Ishmael has a bris when he's 13 years old. Again, we don't have that much time this morning because some of the things that have happened thus far. But I don't know if you saw in the Jewish newspapers, and what I mean by the Jewish newspapers, I mean by the Forwards and some of the local Jewish newspapers, that there's an entire conversation taking place now in the liberal community saying that a bris is no longer what? Necessary. You no longer need a bris. And there's an entire conversation. In fact, a common friend of ours, Bonnie Konevsky, is with us this morning. A common friend by the name of Rabbi Andy Sachs. I don't know if anybody remembers Andy Sachs. Andy Sachs is a young man who grew up here in Philadelphia at Har Zion, made Aliyah at a relatively young age, plays a prominent role for the conservative movement, the Masorti movement in Israel, and he is a moil. And he wrote a beautiful, beautiful article. It's sort of sad that we've reached a point where he has to defend the institution of a bris. I mean, it's, I've shared with you before, my father had a Yiddish expression. He used to say the oilim is a goyim. It's a hard thing to translate, but he says, I guess a crude translation is, what has happened to this world of ours? These cardinal institutions that were so important to Jewish life just seem to be disappearing. That's for another conversation. So if you'll follow the reading this morning, again, it's page 45 in the Hertz. The Eitz Chaim, it's page 69. Michael's going to be reading the first three Aliyot for us, B'vakasha. And he's going to call the people up really as well. Okay?
What happened to my sitter? The sitter to do the calling.
Okay, what do you need?
No, the sitter.
Here. You can use this.
Just to do the
Here,
calling.
the Yazur. Here.
There we go. V'yazor, yagim v'yoshia l'chol chosim boven amar, amen. Hakol havogod Eloheinu nuchavod latara. Kohen? Kohen krav yamod. Zalman ben Elihu HaKohen Baruch Shenatan Torah L'Amo Yisrael B'Kedushato Yatem Ha'Vaykim Adonai Elohechem Chayim Kol Hayom. I can't keep this one.
Baruch Ach Li'olam Bo'ed.
You have a microphone, right? Is it on?
I think so. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Avraham lech lecha me'artecha u'mimoladatecha u'mibeit avicha el haaretz asher areka ve'escha legoy gadol v'avarchecha v'gala shemecha ve'yeh bracha v'avarcha mevarchecha u'mekalecha ur v'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpechot ha'adama vayelech Avraham kasher diber elav Adonai vayelech ito lot ve'Avraham ben chamesh shanim v'shivim shana b'tzeito mecharan vayikach Avraham et Sarai ishto v'et lot ben achiv v'et kol rechusham asher achashu V'et hanefesh asher asu b'charan vayitzu lalech et arza Canaan vayavo arza Canaan vayavor Avram ba'aretz ad mekom Shechem ad Elam Moreh v'Kanani az ba'aretz vayera Adonai el Avram vayomer lezaracha tein et ha'aretz azot vayiven sham mizbech l'Adonai hanirei lav vayatech misham ha'ara mikedem V'veit el vayet ahalo beit el miyam v'ha'ai mikedem vayiven sham mizbech l'Adonai vayikra b'shem Adonai vayisa Avraham haloch v'nasoah vayisa Avraham haloch v'nasoah hanegba Vayihi ra'ab ba'aretz vayired Avram mitzrayim legor sham ki chaved ra'ab ba'aretz vayihi kasher yikriv lavo mitzrayim vayomer el Sarai ishto hinena yadati ki isha yefat mara'at v'haya ki yiru otach hamitzrim v'amru ishto zot v'hargu oti v'otach yichayu imri nachoti at l'man yitav lihi ba'avurech v'chayta nafshi biglavech.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Notein ha'Torah.
Amen. Talmud.
Ta'amod, Chanasara, Bat Yosef, Halevi, Verut, La'aliyah Shniya.
Baruch hu el Adonai
Baruch nerach lilam doed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi kavo Avram Mitzrayim vayiru hamitzrim et ha'isha ki afahi me'od vayiru ota sarei paro v'halu ota el paro v'tukach ha'isha be paro u'lavram hetev ba'avora vayilo tzon uvakar v'chamorim v'avadim u'shfachot v'atanot u'gamalim v'yinaga Adonai et paro nagaim gedolim v'et beito al davar sarai eshet Avram Vayikra paro l'Avram vayomer mazot asita li lama lo igadata li ki ishtachahi lama amarta achotihi ve'ekach ota li leisha v'yata hine ishtacha kach v'lech vayitzav alav paro anashim vayishachu oto v'yet ishto v'yekol asher lo vayal Avram mitzrayim hu ve'ishto v'chol asher lo Lo timo hanegba v'Avram kaved ma'od b'mikneh b'kesef u'v'zahav v'yelech l'matzav minegev v'yad beit el ad hamakom asher hayasham ahalo batchila bein beit el uvein ha'ai el makom hamizbech asher sasham barishona v'yikra sham Avram b'shem Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein
Amen.
Ya'amod Yom Tov Ben Beryl Hashlishi.
The reading continues in the Hertz Klimish on page 48, and in the Eitz Chaim, page 74, Shalishi.
Baruch hu Adonai
Baruch nerach lilam doed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'Torah.
Amen. V'gam lelo tahalech et Avram hayatzon v'akar v'yoalim v'lo nasa otam ha'aretz l'shevet yachtav ki haya rechusham rav v'lo yachlu l'shevet yachtav v'yihiri bein roeh miknei Avram uvein roeh miknei lot v'kananiv ha'perizi az yoshe ba'aretz Vayomer Avraham el Lot al na tehi meriva beini veinecha vein roai vein roecha ki anashim achim anachnu halo kol haaretz lefanecha היפרדנה מעלי עם השמאל וימינה ועם הימין והשמאלה, ויסלו את עיניו, וירא כל כיכר הירדן ככולה משקה לפני שחט אדוני את סדום ואת עמורה כגן אדוני כארץ מצרים בואכת צוהר. ויבחר לו לוט את כל כיכר הירדן ויסלוט מקדם ויפרדו איש מעל אחיו. אברהם ישב בארץ כנען ולוט ישב בערי הכיכר ויהל עד סדום. ואנשי סדום רעים וחטאים לאדוני מאוד, ואדוני אמר אל אברהם, אחרי היפרד לוט מאמו, שנא עיניך וראה מן המקום אשר אתה שם, צפונה ונגבה וקדמה וימה, כי כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה לך תננה, ולזרעך עד עולם, ושמתי את זרעך כעפר הארץ, אשר אם יוכל איש למנות את עפר הארץ, גם זרעך ימנה. קום התהלך בארץ לאורכה ולרוחבה, כי לך אתננה. ויהל אברהם ויבוא וישב באלוני ממרא אשר בחברון, ויבן שם מזבח לאדוני. Am I still calling?
Amen.
Michael, want to show him the place? We left.
Yeah,
Get here.
I left the out there. Who has
Okay,
the
you want to pull
Aliyah?
the fourth Aliyah?
I don't know who it is. Who has the fourth Aliyah? Any takers?
Lauren, who has the fourth Aliyah? Pesach ben Simcha.
Ya'mod Pesach ben Simcha HaRavi'i.
Okay. Let me just get this
You
microphone.
got the spawns right where I left the out.
Here, Phil, over here.
I got it. Ruch and Barach Le'lam Va'ed.
Amen.
ויהי בימי אמרפל מלך שינר אריוך מלך אל עשר כדר לעומר מלך אילם וסידל מלך גויים עשו מלחמה את ברע מלך סדום ואת ברשע מלך עמורה שינב מלך אדמה ושם עבר מלך צרים ומלך בלה יצוער כל אלה לחברו אליהם כסידים כי ים המלח הוא ים המלח 12 שנה עבדו את כדר לעומר 13 שנה מרדו ו14 שנה בר כדר לעומר והמלכים אשר איתו ויכו את רבעים באשתרות קרניים ואת הזוזים בהם ואת הימים ושווה קרייתיים ואת הפורי בהררם שעיר עד עין פרן אשר אל המדבר וישובו ויבואו אליהם משפט יקדש ויכו את כל שדה המלכי ואת המורי אשר בחצתן תמר ויצא מלך סדום ומלך עמורה ומלך אדמה ומלך צבועים ומלך בלה יצוער וילכו אותם מלחמה בעמק הסידים את כדר לעומר מלך אלים וסידל מלך גויים ואמרפל מלך שינר ואריוך מלך אלעשר 4 מלכים את החמישה בעמק השידים ועוד חומר וינשאו מלך סדום ועמורה ויפלו שמה והנשארים הרע נסו ויקחו את כל הרכוש סדום ועמורה ואת כל אוכלם ויקחו את לוט ואת רכושו בן אחי אברהם וילכו וישב בסדום ויבוא הפליט ויגד לאברהם העברי והוא שוכן באלוני ממרא האמורי אחי אשכול ואחי ינר והם בעלי ברית אברהם וישמע אברהם כי נשבע אחיו וירק את חניכיו יליד ביתו 18 ו300 וירדוף עדן ויחלק עליהם לילה הוא ועבדיו וירדפם עד חובה ויקם וירדפם עד חובה אשר משמאל לדמשק וישיב את כל הרכוש וגם את לוט אחיו ורכושו השיב ואת הנשים ואת העם ויצא מלך סדום לקראתו אחרי שובו מעקות את כדר לעומר ואת המלכים אשר איתו אל עמק שווה הוא עמק המלך ומלכי צדק מלך שלם הוציא לחם ויין והוא כהן לאל עליון ויברכהו ויאמר ברוך אברהם לאל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ וברוך אל עליון אשר מגן שריך בידיך ויתן לו מעשר
מכל.
אשר נתנו תורה שמש לחיי עולם
just stay here 1 second. Before we have our next Aliyah, was it last week? I keep or 2 weeks ago, we celebrated Phil's anniversary of his bar mitzvah. What? Exactly. And Phil was waiting to celebrate, I think, his 93rd birthday. And today he's 93 years young. Everybody see how young you look, okay? Look at this man, okay? Does he look like he's 93? Yeah. Keep the mask on. What are you doing, okay?
Let him see me.
Huh? Okay. Now, again, I have to make a correction because I told a little story and I messed it up, my wife told me. And what it was, his Hebrew name is Pesach ben Simcha. And his lovely wife, B, is really with us. And can you remember what his first name is? Pesach, and then it's Ben Simcha. And one of the first times when he told me your Hebrew name, he said to me, by the way, his wife has Pesach all year round. So, So first of all, we want to congratulate Phil really on his wonderful birthday at 93 years young. And I'm always curious, what's the key to longevity? Okay, and maybe that really is the answer. You have no idea. Don't overthink it. So why don't we join together really in a birthday celebration in the presence of his lovely bride, shall we? Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Amen. Now, Phil, I got to tell you, I'm not usually an envious person. It's not. I have other faults, but envy really is not one of them. But I got to tell you, every time I see you being hair challenged, and I see your hair, I say to myself, okay, what do you do?
Use a brush.
Huh? He said, use a brush. Well, my answer is, I wish I could use a brush, okay? I use more a towel. This is really what it feels. Phil, happy birthday to you, my friend. Many more. We're up to now Chamishi, the 5th Aliyah.
Ya'amod. David Michael ben Yosef Arachel, Chamishi.
Baruch Rach Lilam Voed. Amen.
ויאמר מלך סדום אל אברהם תיתן לי הנפש והרכוש כך לך ויאמר אברהם המלך סדום ארמותי ידי אל אדוני אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ היא מחוץ ועד צרוך נעל ואם אקח מכל אשר לך ולא תאמר אני השארתי את אברהם בלעדיי רק אשר אכלו הנערים וחלק האנשים אשר הלכו איתי הנער אשכול וממריהם יקחו חלקם אחר הדברים האלה היה דבר אדוני אל אברהם ומחזה לאמור אל תירא אברהם אנוכי מגן לך שכרך הרבה מאוד ויאמר אברהם אדוני אלוהים מה תיתן לי ואנוכי הולך הררי ובן משק ביתי הוא דמשק אליעזר ויאמר אברהם הן לי לא נתת זרע והנה בן ביתי יורש אותי והנה דבר אדוני אליו לאמור לא ירשך זה כי אם אשר יצא ממך הוא ירשך ויצא איתו החוצה ויאמר הבטנה השמיימה וספור הכוכבים אם תוכל לספור אותם ויאמר לו כה יהיה זרעך ואמן באדוני ויחשב לו כי
צדקה. Eloheinu Baruch Atah Adonai. Amen. Our 6th Aliyah and the Hertz Chumash, page 54, and the Eitz Chaim on page 83. This is David's grandma.
Yocheved ben Simson Shalom Aliyah Leah Sarah Aliyah Hashishit.
Baruch Nerach Lilam Voed.
I'm on you. It's all right.
Amen.
ויאמר אליו, אני אדוני, אשר הוצאתיך מרוכזים לתת לך את הארץ הזאת לרשתה. ויאמר אדוני,
Elohim.
ויאמר אדוני אלוהים,
Bame.
במה אדע כי ארשנה. ויאמר אליו, חלי עגלה משולשת ועז משולשת ועיל משולש ותר וגוזל. ויקח לו את כל אלה ויבטר אותם בתווך. ויתן איש בתורו לקראת רעהו ואת הציפור לו בתר. וירד העית עליו גרים וישב אותם אברהם. ויהי השמש לבוא בתרדמה נפלה על אברהם. והנה חשכה גדולה נופלת עליו. ויאמר לאברהם, יודע תדע כי גר יהיה זרעך בארץ. לא להם ועבדום וינו אותם 400 שנה, וגם את הגוי אשר יעבדון דן אנוכי, ואחרי כן יצאו ברכוש גדול. ואתה תבוא לאבותיך בשלום, תיקבר בשיבה טובה, ודור רביעי ישובו הנה. כי לא שילם עוון האמורי עד הנה. ויהי השמש באה ועלתה והיה תנור עשן ולפיד אש, אשר עבר בין הגזרים האלה. ביום ההוא קראת אדוני אל אברהם ברית לאמור, לזרעך נתתי את הארץ הזאת מנהר מצרים עד נהר הגדול נהר פרת, את הקיני ואת הקינזי, את הקדמוני ואת החיבי ואת הפריזי ואת הרפאים ואת האמורי ואת הכנעני ואת הגרגשי ואת היבוסי. ושרה אשת אברהם לא ילדה לו ולה שפחה המצרית ושמה הגר. ותאמר שרה אל אברהם, הננה עצרני אדוני מלדת, בונה על שפחתי אולי אענה ממנה. וישמע אברהם לקול שרי, ותיקח שרי אשת אברהם את הגר המצרית שפחתה מקץ 10 שנים לשבת אברהם בארץ כנען, ותיתן אותה לאברהם אישה לו לאישה. ויבוא אל הגר ותער, ותראה כי הרתה, ותקל גברתה בעיניה. ותאמר שרה אל אברהם, חמסי עלייך אנוכי נתתי שפחתך בחיקך, ותראה כי הרתה, והקל בעיניה ישפוט אדוני ביני ובינך. ויאמר אברהם אל שרי, הנה שפחתך בידך, עשי לה טוב בעינך. ותענה שרי ותברח מפניה, וימצא מלאך אדוני אליהן המים במדבר, עליהן בדרך שור. ויאמר הגר שפחת שרי, מזה באה ואנה תלכי. ותאמר מפני שרי, גברתי אנוכי בורחת. ויאמר לה מלאך אדוני, שובי אל גברתך ותעני תחת ידיה. ויאמר לה מלאך אדוני, הרבה זרעך ולא יספר מרוב. ויאמר לה מלאך אדוני, הנה חרך ויולדת בן, ויקרא שמו ישמעאל, כי שמע אדוני אלוניך, והוא יהיה פאר אדם, ידו בכל ויד כל בו, ועל פני אחיו ישכון. ותקרא שם אדוני הדובר אליה, אתה אל רואי, כי אמרה גם אלם ראיתי אחרי רואי. על כן קרא לבאר באר לחי רואי, הנה בן קודש. ובן ברא ותלד הגר לאברהם בן, ויקרא אברהם שם בנו, אשר ילדה הגר ישמעאל. ואברהם בן 80 שנה ו6 שנים בלדת הגר את ישמעאל לאברהם. ויהי אברהם בן 90 שנה ו9 שנים. וירא אדוני אל אברהם ויאמר אליו, אני אל שדי תלך לפני ויתמים ואתנה ברית ביני וביניך וארבה אותך במאוד מאוד. ויחל אברהם על פניו, וידבר איתו אלוהים לאמור, אני הנה בריתי איתך, והייתי לאב המון גויים, ולא יקרא עוד שמך אברהם, והיה שמך אברהם, כי אב המון גויים נתתיך, ובחרתי אותך במאוד מאוד, ונתתיך לגויים וממלכים ממך
יצאו. אתה בתוכנו. Amen.
Ta'amod. Esther Lebibat. Mordechai. V'chana Shifra Aliyah
The
Hashvi'i.
seventh Aliyah is on page 58 in the Hertz Chumash and page 90 in the Eitz Chaim. Who I don't know. Baruch Yirach Lilam Voed. Melech Olam.
Oh, you're right.
והקימותי את בריתי ביני ובינך ובין זרעך אחריך לדורותם לברית עולם להיות לך לאלוהים ולזרעך אחריך נתתי לך ולזרעך אחריך את ארץ מגוריך את ארץ כנען לאחוזת עולם היית להם לאלוהים ויאמר אלוהים אל אברהם ואתה את בריתי תשמור אתה וזרעך אחריך לדורותם זאת בריתי אשר תשמרו ביני וביניכם ובין זרעך אחריך ימול לכם כל זכר ונמלתם את בשר עורלתכם והיה לעוד בריתי וביניכם ובין 8 ימים ימול לכם כל זכר לדורותיכם יליד בית ומקנה כסף מכל בן נכר אשר לא מזרעך הוא ימול ימול יליד ביתך ומקנת כספך היית בבריתי בבשרכם לברית עולם והרי זכר אשר לא ימול את בשר עורלתו ונכרתה הנפש ההיא מהמה את בריתי הפר ויאמר אלוהים אל אברהם שרי אשתך לא תקרא את שמה שרי כי שרה שמה ויברך אותה וגם נתתי ממנה לך בן וברכתיך והיית לגויים וממלכי עמים ממנה יהיו ויפל אברהם על פניו ויצחק ויאמר בליבו הלבן 100 שנים ייוולד שנה ייוולד ואם שרה הבת 90 שנה תלד ויאמר אברהם אל האלוהים לו ישמעאל יחיה לפניך ויאמר אלוהים אבל שרה אשתך יולדת לך בן וקראת את שמו יצחק והקימותי את בריתי איתו לברית עולם לזרעו אחריו ולשמע את שמך הנה ברכתי אותו והפרתי אותו והברתי אותו במאוד מאוד 12 ניסים יוליד ונתתי לגוי גדול את בריתי אקים את יצחק אשר תלד לך שרה למועד הזה בשנה אחרת ויוכל לדבר איתו ויעל אלוהים מעל אברהם ויקח אברהם את ישמעאל בנו ואת כל יליד ביתו ואת כל מקנת כספו כל זכר בן בית אברהם וימל את בשר עורלתם בעצם היום הזה כאשר דיבר איתו אלוהים ואברהם בן 90 שנה ו9 שנים והימולו בשר עורלתו וישמעאל בנו בן 13 שנה והימולו את בשר עורלתו בעצם היום הזה נימול אברהם וישמעאל בנו וכל אנשי ביתו יליד בית ומקנה כסף מת בן נכר נימול
איתו. ברוך אתה. Amen. Before we have the Chatzi Kaddish and call up our maftir, again, our custom is that on Shabbat morning and when we read from the Torah scroll, we offer words of healing for our synagogue community and our extended community. We invite those who like to share with us the name of a loved one, a neighbor or a friend. If you rise at this particular time, as we offer our prayer of healing. Yishaberach Avotenu Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yerepei Kol HaCholim, Shkehiaki Doshab, Melrose, Bena Israel, Emanu-El, Bifrat, Avishai ben Mazal, Ruben Pesha, Yefana ben Henya, Baruch ben Chaya Leah, Arnold Burson, Avram ben Yosef, Vabatya, Shmuel ben Chana, Ve'el Chaim ben Mazal, Scott Marshall, Mordechai ben Yeda, David Pressman, Baruch Levi ben Simcha Yehuda, John Massetti, Reuven Eliel ben Binyamin, Vemira Riva, Yosef ben Moshe, Reuven Edith, Gary Kaufman, Ben Barrow, Stuart Blesniak, Ernie Gross, Ron Goldman, Ryan Wall, Stephen Feldschneider, Rabbi Robert Lehman, Baruch ben Shimon, ben Binyamin, Shana bat Pesha, Leslie Daniels, Samantha Feldman, Spencer Gutabat Vora, Yidel bat Chana, Michelle Slotner, Chaya Sarah bat Zipporah, Shoshana bat Liba, Harav Miriam Yael ben Sarah Pesha, Miriam Sneisser, Chaya bat Beryl Vitzvia, Randy Jorah, Sarah bat Rivka Avraham, Arden Bel Devorah Chasiet bat Chaya, Lion Sher Devorah bat Avraham, Risa
Gerson, Renina bat Yedidi, Ariana Barrows, Chavatova bat Malka Spritzer, Charlotte Winderman, Susie Markowitz, Leah Fredel, bat Yosef Hirsch Vechaya, Leah Schiffer bat Chanam, Yael bat Yaakov Yisrael Vechaya, Marilyn Bergman, Ruth Lehman, and Joyce Gomez. Sonny, please. Don? Go ahead. Martin? Marcia? And your father?
Nachman ben Batia.
Okay, is there anyone else this morning? Of course, Chazan David Tillman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yamalei Rachim Yimalehem Lasacham Rapotam V'shlachem Eroch V'shleimah Min Hashemayim Foresh HaRaguf V'tok Shah HaCholim Chazei Et Yedei HaOskim B'tzarchehem Shebarim Lizo Uruf HaKavol Hashlo Zman Kariv V'nomar Amen. We rise, please, for the Chatzi Kadesh. Yitkara, the Yitkara, Shemei Rabo. Yom Adivarach Yirute V'yam Lich Machute. B'chayechon u'v'yamechon. U'ayerecho Beit Yisroel. B'hagala, b'hagala. U'vizman karivim eru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabo Mivorach. Olam Yom Maya Yitbarach. Yitbarach Vishtabach Yitzvartram V'naseh V'tadar V'tale V'talal Shemei Kudasha B'richu Li'ehila Min Kol B'yachata V'shirata Toshbechata V'ne Emahata Tahamiram B'yalma V'maruma Yahamora.
Moshe Yaakov.
What is it?
Moshe Yaakov.
Moshe Yaakov ben
Nachman.
Nachman ha-Maftir. If you'll please be seated, we continue with the Maftir portion and the Hertz Chumash on page 60 and the Eitz Chaim on page 93.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Varach. Baruch Adonai Varach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
ואברהם בן 99 שנה בהימול בשר עולתו, וישמעאל בנו בן 13 שנה בהימולו את בשר עולתו. בעצם היום הזה נימול אברהם וישמעאל בנו וכל אנשי ביתו יליד בית ומגנת כסף מאת בני נכר נימול אותו.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet. V'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Yamdu hamagbi b'hagolelet l'sefer ha-Torah. We rise, please. The Torah scroll is about to be lifted. V'zo ha-Torah asher sam. Lifnei b'nei Yisrael api Adonai. Torah, 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 Torah. Tiva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Torah, Tiva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Torah, Tiva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. While we're waiting, I want to thank David Kaplan for reading a lot of the Torah for us this morning. It's deeply appreciated. It's great that you're part, of our synagogue community and the Philadelphia community. Again, how old are you? Okay, he's 18 years of age and he's still not married. So if anybody knows anybody, again, we're looking for you. Okay? Is that all? Joan, is that all right? No. What'd you say? You're the grandmother. Huh? Oh, okay, huh? You what your grandmother said? All right. Okay, so be seated. If everyone will be seated, we turn now for the Haftarah for this Shabbat morning. It's found, please, in the Hertz Chumash on page 60, and it's in the Eitz Chaim on page 95. Page 60 in the Hertz Chumash, the Eitz Chaim, page 95. The reason it is chosen because God, in the Torah reading, turns to Abraham and says, you will be the father of a great, great, great people. And as you know, the way Jewish history is played out, it's sort of difficult. We haven't realized all of those promises. And therefore, this Haftarah from Isaiah renews the promise and says that you will be a great, great, great people. And it has to be reaffirmed, and this is what it's about. This morning, again, I said before, we had planned something very special because today is Michael, the anniversary of his bar mitzvah. Michael, just stay over here next to me, okay? Over here. And Michael grew up here in Elkins Park, right next door at Beth Shalom congregation. And it so happened that Cantor Tillman was his chazan at Beth Shalom, correct?
Correct.
And Beth Shalom has an interesting way of chanting the Haftorah. There are different kinds of cantilations. And Beth Shalom has a tradition of using the binder. It's called the binder trup. I don't think anybody else uses it in the United States anymore. And yet they've kept that tradition starting before Chazan Tillman, with Chazan Tillman. Do they still do it there now?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yeah.
We're over here. We can't hear from them.
Michael, I don't want to be political today, okay? We are apolitical. But however, is that if you look really in terms really of Michael, is that when we define who is a community Jew, this is a young man who grew up here next door at Beth Shalom. Where'd you go to high school?
Upper Dublin.
Okay, went to Upper Dublin, finds himself really, did you go to Brandeis?
No.
Yeah, you went where? To
Undergraduate at Vassar.
Okay, went to undergraduate at Vassar, great school in Poughkeepsie. Becomes very, very, very much involved in Jewish education. Gets a doctorate really from Graz. At one time, he was the head of the Hebrew High School, I believe, here at Graz. He's now the Associate Director of Education at Har Zion Temple. And about 2-3 years ago, some of you went with us. We took a trolley ride to downtown Philadelphia. It was a great, great experience. A great experience to South Street. We went to West Oak Lane, to all the old synagogues. And Michael really has a niche here. He runs tours called Philadelphia, what's the company called?
Philadelphia Jewish History Tours. Thank you
Philadelphia
for the plug.
Jewish History Tours. And you don't need to go on a trolley or on a bus. But as the COVID things becomes a little more manageable, already he's taking people to these different places. And if you have relatives or friends who are looking for something different in Philadelphia, this is the man really to go to. It's interesting, it's fun, and you walk away with a lot of wisdom. And of course, we here at Melrose absolutely love Michael because he's our Baal Shacharit, reads Torah for us on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and helps really with our synagogue. And a personal relationship also is that I think you were, when our kids went to Ramah, I think for two of them, either you were a Rosh Hashanah or a counselor, and now that Noga is the director of education in Jersey, how the relationship has become now much more professional. And so I know I speak not simply for myself, but for Chaz and Tillman. Because what we were planning to do, what we were going to do, we were going to give you the blessing that was given to you on the day of your bar mitzvah at Beth Shalom, and Chaz and Tillman was going to do that kind of blessing. So you'll have to come back next
year.
week.
Not
to
next
hear
week.
to hear that blessing.
I
from
said
Chaz.
next year for the
No,
42nd
not really,
anniversary.
but as I said, as you remember, as they were wheeling David out, remember what he said? He said, I'll be back, okay? And, if the service goes any longer, he will be back this morning. Yeah, I mean, this is for sure. And so if you'll please follow as Michael chants the Haftorah for us on page 60 in the Hertz Chumash, on page 95 in the Eitz Chaim. I'm just curious, I don't want to know how old you are, because it's not appropriate, and I don't want to ask, but how many years ago was your bar mitzvah?
It was 41 years ago.
Okay, 41 years ago. Okay, fine, all right, okay, fine. I didn't ask your age, all right?
That's all right.
I-
At my bar mitzvah party, people were in the kitchen of Beth Shalom listening to the World Series because the Phillies were in it and they won on my birthday.
Well, I think there's a greater chance, Michael, of the Mashiach coming to Elkins Park
could be.
than the Phillies being in the World Series and the Eagles being in the Super Bowl this year. But if you please follow again, page 60 and on page 95, as Michael chants, is Bar Mitzvah Haftorah. So yours.
That's for the brachas. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav v'divrehem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'Yeh haemet v'atzedek. Lama tamar Yaakov u'tedaber Yisrael nistara darki me Adonai me Elohai mishpati yavor halo yadata im lo shamata Elohei olam Adonai borei ketzot haaretz lo yaf velo yiga ein cheker litvunato noten lo yaif koach uleinu Nimatma yarbe, vayafuna rim, vayigau, vachurim kasho yikashelu, vekove Adonai yachalifu choach, yalu ever, kanasharim, yarutu velo yigau, yelchu velo yafu, hacharishu elayim, ulumim yachalifu choach, Yikshu az yidaberu yachdav lemishpat nikrava mi heir mi mizrach tzedek yikraehu l'raglo yitain lefanav goyim umalachim yard yitain kafar charbo kikash nidaf kashto yirdefem yavor shalom orach beraglav Lo yavo mipal v'yasa korei hadorot merosh ani Adonai rishon v'et acharonim anihu ra'u im v'yira'u kitzot ha'aretz yecharadu karvu v'yechetayun ish et reyehu yazoru ulachiv yomar chazak Vayechazeh charash et zoreif machalif patish et holem pam omer ladevek tofu vayechazkehu bamasarim lo yimot ata Yisrael avdi Yaakov asher becharticha zera Avraham ohavi Asher chazakticha mikzot haaretz ameati leha kiraticha v'omar lecha avdi ata becharticha v'lo me'asticha al tirak yimcha ani Al tishta ki ani Elohecha. Imatzticha af azarticha af tamachticha bimin tzidki. Hein yevoshu v'yikalmu kol hanecharim bach. Yuche ayin ve'ovdu anshe rivecha. Tivakshem velo timtzaim anshe mitzutecha. Yuche ayin uche efes anshe milchamtecha. Ki ani Adonai Elohecha machazik yaminecha. Ha'omer lecha al tira ani azarticha. Al tiri tolat Yaakov mete Yisrael ani. Azartichnu Adonai v'go alech kedosh Yisrael. Hine samtich lemorag charutz chadash bal pifiot. Tadush harim v'tadok ugavaot kamot tasim. Tizreim v'ruach tisaim usa'ara tafitzotam. V'ata tagil b'Adonai v'kedosh Yisrael titalah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'yoseh ha'medaber m'kayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha v'davar echad midvarecha achor lo yashuv rekam. Ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav. Rachem al Tzion ki beit chayenu v'alu v'nefesh toshia b'meira v'yameinu. Baruch atah Adonai misamech Tzion b'banecha. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu b'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha v'malchut beit David meshichecha. B'meira yavo v'yagel libeinu al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo yenchalu od acherim ekvodo ki v'shem kodshecha nishbata lo shelo yichbene ro le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai magein David al haTorah v'al havodah v'al hanaviim v'al yom haShabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu liktusha v'limnucha lechavod u'letifaret. Al kol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yiparach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Yoshikawa to Michael. We continue our service in our Sidurim, page 176. Yekum Porkan min Shemaya, page 176.
Yekum porkan min Shemaya. Mishaberach Avotenu Rahman Yitzchak Yaakov. V'chol mi shoskim betzort chetzibor v'inyan Eretz Yisrael b'emunah hakadosh baruch hu yishalem sacharam v'yasir mehem kol machala yirpa lechol gufam v'yislach lechol avonam v'yishlach beracha v'atzlacha b'chol maseh yedehem im kol Yisrael achehem v'namar amen.
Amen. Page 177. The second paragraph, we join together a prayer for America. Our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy, accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessing upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, officers, and officials who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you've decreed, so that peace and security,
happiness and freedom will never depart from our land.
We turn, please, to page 178. We join together in the Hebrew a prayer for Israel. Avinu Shabashamayim Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo Barechet Midinat Yisrael Reshit Tzmicha Kulatenu Hagein Aleh B'Vrach Chastecha Ufros Aleh Sukat Shlomecha Shlach orachva mitacha l'rasheha, Sarah v'yoatzeha, v'tagneim be'itzat tova milfanecha, chazit yidei eretz kadshenu, v'anichileim Eloheinu Yeshua, v'ateret nitzachon ta'adrein, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat lo yishveha, v'nomar. We continue, please, with the Ashrei, page 181.
Ashrei Ashrei v'techa
Od
Yalucha
Sela. Od David.
Tilat Adonai daber pi v'verecha basar shim kochel elam va'ed v'nachnu nevarach ya me'atavid olam hallelujah.
We rise, please, page 183, as we prepare to return the Torah to the ark.
Yehalelu et shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado Odom ha'eretz v'shamayim Vayarem keren li'amo Tehila lechol chasidav Livnei Yisrael ham karovo Hallelujah, hallelujah Mizmor leDavid Havul Adonai b'nei Elim Havul Adonai kavod ba'oz Havul Adonai kevod shemo Ishtachavu Adonai b'hara kodesh Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod hirim Adonai al mayim rabim Kol Adonai ba'koach Kol Adonai behadar Kol Adonai shover arazim Vayeshaber Adonai et arzei Lebanon Vayarkidem kemo egel Lebanon Vesirion kemo venreimim Kol Adonai chotzei flavotesh Kol Adonai yachil midbar Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh Kol Adonai yechol elayalot Vayechesof yarot v'heichalo kulo Omer kavod Adonai lama bo yashav Vayeshev Adonai melech le'olam Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
Its ways are pleasant, all its paths are peace. Turn us towards you, Adonai, and we will return to you. Make our days seem fresh as they once were.
Ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu Eitz chayim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomecheha meushar deracheha darcheino v'chol netivoteha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Remain standing if possible, page 184, the Chatzi Kaddish. Before our Musaf service this morning, we will do a Heichi Kadisha, page 184.
Yikadav yitkadash shemei rabba
Amen.
Yamadi v'achirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayidechol Beit Yisrael v'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivara Le'olam yomei maya
Yesh me rabba mevarach, le'lama me'amaya, yiparach, v'ishtabach, v'pari rama v'itnaseh, v'tadavi delevi talal, shemei dekucha brichu, le'la min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'Nehem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Meitim Atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiva Ruach U'Morida Gashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Meitim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Mechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'neman Ata L'Hachayot Meitim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMeitim Naritzecha V'natishecha Kesotziach Sarfei Kodesh Hamakdishim Shimcha B'Kodesh Hamakdishim Shimcha B'Kodesh Kakatuv Ayad Al Yad Neviecha V'Kara Ze'el Ze V'Yamar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzvaot Melech Kol Haaretz Kevodo Kavodo malei olam eshartav shoalim ze lazeh ayem ekom kavodo limatam baruch yomei baruch kavod Adonai mim komo mim komo yifen berachamim v'yachonam ham yachadim shemo erev aboker bechol yom tamid pamayim b'yahava shema omerim Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu Yashmienu Berachamav Shenit 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 Le'enei Kol Chai Liot Lachem Elohim
Ani Adonai Elohei
Udivrei Kadshacha Katuv Le'mor
Adonai Le'olam Elohai Yiktzion L'davador, hallelujah.
Yimloch Adonai Olam Elohai Tzion L'dor hallelujah. L'dor vador nagi God lecha U'lenetzach netzachim kedushat chanati Sheshivcha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamosh le'olam va'ed Ki HaMelech Gadol v'Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Remain standing if possible, praying the Musaf Amida either in Hebrew or in English, page 188. Tikanta Shabbat Ratzita Karbanoteha. Biyangeha Vigamahovi. Yiratzom Fenach Loveldena. Ermanadai Hamadina. Yom Shabbat. Oh, Page 203 for the Kaddish Shalem.
Yikadav Yikadash
Amen.
V'amad Yivachirte V'amlik Malchute V'chayichon V'mechon Chayichon Beit Yisrael V'agalav Yizman Kari V'imru Amen
Amen.
Yishmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Yibarach V'yishtabach V'yiparim Am V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalav V'yitalal Shemei Tegucha B'richu Le'ela Minko B'chata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechmata Damiram Yama V'imru Amen Tikabal Tzon Honavot Tondachol Yisrael Kadam Avahuni V'yishmaya V'imru Amen Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'ramav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen
Page 204, Ein Keloheinu.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Cheloheinu, Mi Chadoneinu, Mi Chemalkeinu, Mi Chemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Sheitiru Avotenu, Lefanecha Ketoret Hasamim.
We rise, please.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gedula l'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kugoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים עומדים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. מתחתינו דקנו ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר,
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ.
ביום ההוא,
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
If you'll please be seated. We expect Karen was the wife. Her mother is with us this morning, Lorna. She is also met by her sons Roz and her husband Alex, Ron and his wife Joan, and a devoted member of our community, and a good friend, and that of course is Deborah and her husband David Factor. And I believe Deborah, your daughter, is with us this morning, has joined the family coming all the way from Florida. We extend to your mother, Lorna, and to the members of the family this traditional word of comfort. Hamakol yinechem etchem b'toch sha'ar avilei Tzion v'Yushalayim. May God comfort you in the community of those who mourn in Zion and the holy city of Yerushalayim. We also recall those whose yurtzites will be observed this coming week in our Melrose community. Betty Glauberman, Elaine Goodman, Saul Gruber, William Kanefsky, Mayor Mikael, Molly Resnick, Sylvia Rigberg, Abraham Rurin, Edith Satin, Mara Silver, Harry Waxman, Abe Weiner, Rachel Wendrow, Harry Chutnoff, Rebecca Levine, Katie Reisberg, Albert Deitch, Alexander Duboff, Hester Farowitz, Hinder Sternfeld, Clara Goodman, Anna Bolnick, Charles Cohen, Edith Satin, Maurice Glass, Stanley Leff, Samuel Marks, Esther Paul, Abraham Bornstein, Hirsch Cohen, Harry Weiner, Yetta Rosen, Mary Spring, and Rose Greitzer. For trust and like great goodness they who mourn, those observing yurtzites, rise please for the words of the mourners' Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabo.
Amen.
V'yolma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chaye echon v'yom echon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael. V'agalah v'zman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabo mivorach v'yolam u'me'omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'tzpa'ar v'tramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudasha v'richu. V'eila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabo min shemaya v'chayim oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu yaseh shalom oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We establish peace in the heavens, grant peace and comfort to all those who mourn, and let us all say. Before I call upon Shelley, the president of our congregation, to share with what's happening in our Melrose community in the next week or so, again, I know Shelley's going to offer thanks, but Michael Bavakasha, this certainly was a very challenging morning. You came here to celebrate your bar mitzvah. You came here to read Torah and do a haftorah, not recognize that you're going to be conducting a great portion of the service. You were early this morning. We went back to an entire Pesukei de Zimra, and Michael, of course, chanted it in a very lovely way. It's nice to get back to some kind of normal. The second thing also, services this evening will be at 5 after 6. And I want to also turn to a friend of our congregation, and a lady I've gotten to know We have conversations every single morning. It's Bonnie Konevsky. If you heard, I read Bonnie's husband's name. She has yahrzeit for him this week. William Konevsky, she knows him as Billy. In fact, a lot of people know him as Billy. Bonnie has been with us every single morning. Every single morning, Zoom, in person, wherever. This is a lady who runs marathons. She'll run a marathon, she's exhausted, and then she'll go back to come on Minyan really, really with us. And tomorrow morning, the reason I say that is that Bonnie is always there for us. And she has yahrzeit. And we want to be there for you. So if you could help us tonight at 5 after 6, because I'll be doing the Amalei Rachamim prepare for Billy this evening at 5 after 6. And also tomorrow morning, we are changing our Sunday morning minyanim times. No longer at 9 o'clock, but a 8:45. From now on, it's a 8:45 on Sunday. It's been very schwach, very weak. If you could help us, we'd really appreciate it. And that really is at a 8:45. I think also everybody is very much aware in our community of the passing of the immediate past president of the congregation, one of the most special, sweetest, extraordinary ladies that any one of us have ever met. When you think about Francine, you think about goodness. You think about goodness. And that's what goodness and faith and belief is all about. Fan passed away. The service tomorrow will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Levine's on what was it? Yeah, on Trevos. The interment will take immediately afterwards at Montefiore Cemetery. And the family, we sent out notices, will be sitting Shiva, not at the family house, but someone else's house. You'll see it. And that will be on Sunday evening at 7 o'clock, Monday evening at 7 o'clock, and Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. And again, we recognize with COVID the challenges. We want everybody to be safe. That's the most important thing, to be safe, but you'll be able to see these times. I want to, before I call upon Shelley, end really on a happy note. All right, this is, first one of the happy things is that I certainly believe, I think all of us know that Chazan Tillman is going to be fine. The picture that I have him is not really up here where his color changed, but knowing David well enough, it's typical David Tillman, okay? As they were wheeling him out, remember what he was doing? He was waving, and he's singing, and he's saying hello to everybody. He's still working the crowd. So I'll keep everybody informed. I'm sure David is going to be absolutely fine. The story that I want to tell is that, the conservative movement is not exactly a growth industry. We're not growing, except for Melrose. And what happens, I talk to friends, and they say to me, how many bat mitzvahs do you have during the year? Now, of course, when I say, well, how many you have? They said, we used to have 40 people. You remember Beth Shalom? You used to have what? 50, 60, 70, you have double bar mitzvahs. Har Zion, this is a Temple Sinai. This is what congregations used to have here, AJ. And now if you get 7, you say, really, that's a lot. And I tell my friends, I say, you know what? I have bar and bat mitzvahs every single Saturday morning, okay? This week, okay? Michael, your bar mitzvah, right? How many years has it been?
41.
41 years, okay? Next week, I got another bar mitzvah. You know whose bar mitzvah it is? It's Rabbi Seymour Rosenblum, okay? Seymour is celebrating the 64th anniversary of his bar mitzvah. So week after week, Shell, we have bar mitzvah after bar mitzvah. I'm absolutely exhausted from all these bar mitzvahs that we have here in this congregation. So, as I always say, if you know me well enough, the cup of life is never half empty. It's always what? It's always half full. It's always half full. And so I call upon, Shelley's going to share with us what's happening this coming week and perhaps beyond in our synagogue. And then we'll end with Adon Olam.
We'll have Kiddush, and then we'll have Kiddush for everybody. Shelley, please.
Shabbat Shalom,
Good
everyone.
Shabbos.
We also have baby namings, as you remember. I promised that I would share with you the name of my granddaughter, who was named last week. It may not be, us having our own babies, but we do have grandbabies and great-grandbabies. So I hope you'll all join me in welcoming my new granddaughter, Yael, Bat Yaakov Yisrael V'chaya is her name, and we had a lovely family celebration at our home. It would have been here, save for COVID, but we had it at our home. I want to thank Rabbi Sherman, Hazan Tillman, and of course, Michael Schatz for making us such a warm and inspiring service. A thank you to David Kaplan for reading Torah for all of us this morning. And thank you again to Michael for sharing a most memorable Parsha of Haftarah reading with us this morning. I join Rabbi in sharing with you my heartfelt sadness over the loss of our dear friend and past president of our Melrose family, Fran Sion. Please check the counters on your way out of shul today, or your e-blast for funeral and shiva information. And it's also available on our Facebook page and our web page after Shabbat. Out of respect, I've been notified that the sisterhood programming scheduled for this week has been postponed out of respect for the loss of Fran. And otherwise, our live streaming programming will go on, especially with our Thursday Torah study with Dr. Sunny Epstein on our Facebook page. So please look towards that. And just in closing, to Bob Sion, Alan and Rochelle Slipkin, Fran's brother and sister-in-law, and to all of our Melrose family who knew and loved Fran, my husband, Roy, and I extend our heartfelt condolences. But Shabbat Shalom.
And now we conclude our service with the singing of Adon Olam. If you'll turn with us, please, page 211, Adon Olam.
Can I have 30 seconds? As the bar mitzvah
Excuse me, everybody else does.
I want to thank you, Rabbi Sherman, and this very special shul for giving me the opportunity to celebrate my bar mitzvah anniversary today. Thank you. And I just would be remiss to not acknowledge that there, aside from Chazan Tillman, I see some other friends who were definitely at my original bar mitzvah. My friend Sonny Epstein for sure, and Joe Kaplan I'm sure was there, and Mrs. Edelman, who was a fixture in my growing up at Beth Shalom, and I think was instrumental, if not single-handedly, in the release of 1 million Russian Soviet Jews through her campaigns, and I recall very fondly a long-time relationship with my friend Lorna. So thank you.
And all I could say, Lorna, to you is that because Chazan Tillman shared with me your life story and how much you mean not just to Beth Shalom, but you really mean to this entire Elkins Park community and to the greater community as well. And this expression that we'd say is kol hakavod, kol hakavod. I know these are difficult times, but as you look around, you've got a terrific family and a wonderful community that really lift you up as you lift up so many people in the past. And now we conclude our service. Page 211, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'Chepsa Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Yacharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yiyeh B'Tifara V'hu Echad V'Ein Sheni Lehamshilo Le'achbira Bili Reshit Bili Ta התכלית, ולא העוז ועם ישראל, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן ויעירה, עם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא.
I thought I was going to be doing Kiddush, but I prefer really that Michael, in celebration of his bar mitzvah, will lead us in the Kiddush. If you're able to rise, please do so. And I know, Michael, the party continues this evening. We're all invited to a celebration at the Borgata Casino.
Oh, my.
What time would you like us to be there, Michael?
About 11 o'clock tonight.
11 o'clock tonight, everybody, okay?
Because I'll be long asleep.
Okay, fine. Huh?
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ויום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו סברי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen. And Michael's making a motzi for us.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ.
Amen. And now we invite everybody for a lovely Kiddush. Michael, you should go. Thank you.